freestyle travel. Hey everybody, kenflannery here as always, your host, and this is a jam-packed episode. Got a lot to say about how beautiful Norway is. Kind of amazing I didn't discover this years ago, because it is awesome. Hitchhiked nearly every day this past month. Not every day, but most days. So we got a lot of ground to cover from the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, of course, and down through Finland, where I am now, sitting on a park bench. A cyclist go by. And yeah, it's been a lot. If you want to be more up to date, definitely recommend jumping on Patreon. I'm really hitting that hard lately with the micro podcast is the big benefit of getting on there. Patreon.com/kenflannery. If you want to buy me a beer once a month, basically, you can get on there and you'll hear the microcast, and I'm able to get into details of all the rides I get, just like every couple days, sort of break down the travels in just somewhere between 2 and 10 minute little segments. So it's pretty fun. Definitely recommend it. I haven't been working on trip hopping as much this past month, just because it's been go, go, go. So it is windy as hell. I hope the recording's good. I might have to do a little extra tinkering with it. But yeah, trip hopping has been on the back burner sort of for the past few weeks, but I'm going to jump back into that, down some magic mines and really get back at that. Magic Mind, speaking of, I mean, that's what kind of got trip hopping re-energized in this past year. It's like a mental performance shot. They sent me some of those shots, and literally it synced up with me getting back into coding, which is kind of a task. Kind of requires a lot of focus. And I'm glad I had that Magic Mind stuff to go along with my coffee in the morning, just to keep me kind of focused all day and get in the zone, get over the hump of coding again. Magic Mind, it kind of gets better too, I noticed at least. Like after 3, 4, 5 days of taking it, there's sort of like a cumulative effect. If you haven't heard me talk about Magic Mind before, it is like a mental performance shot. It's like a little, is it 1 or 2 ounces of this green liquid? It's got a little caffeine in it, but it's not meant to like replace your coffee. It's meant to take with coffee. It's got mushroom-based nootropics and adaptogens in it, and it's just really tasty, actually, too. If you can just feel yourself kind of lock in, which is absolutely needed for things like coding. And yeah, I just really enjoy it. I've read a lot about it just to make sure it wasn't some sort of snake oil before I got it, and it's definitely not. It's legit. You hear a lot of other podcasters and stuff talking about it, people using it. So I really enjoy it, and I cannot recommend it enough if you want something organic and something to go along with your coffee, or you could probably take it without coffee if you wanted to. It'd still be pretty good. So I recommend it. Probably can't talk too much about it. And they gave me a code. So if you guys want to try it out, I know some of you already have and have been reordering it. Super cool. But if you haven't yet, for a little bit of time, you can get up to 48% off on your first subscription, or even 20% off for like a one-time purchase. You just got to use my code. The code is FreestyleShow20. One word, FreestyleShow20 at checkout. And you got to go to magicmind.com/freestyleshow and get yourself some of the goodness. And maybe even learn Flutter and help me program and code on trip hopping. Why not? I'm going to start doing collectives for that. So that's what's up. Yeah, I'm going to, well, I'll tell you what I'm about to do next at the end, as is tradition. We've got a lot of ground to cover, like I said. So let's bring you back to the Netherlands, and we'll start by hitchhiking up to Amsterdam. All right, let's get into it. All right, so yeah, this is a big one. I might have to like glance at the map and notes even, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of how many rides I've gotten since the last episode. Over 50. I don't know. Someone keep count. So, yeah, last episode was a great one. In the Netherlands with my buddy Walter. Had an episode with him. If you haven't listened to that one, give it a listen. He's one of my best friends. Met him hitchhiking. Well, we hitchhiked together after meeting in Alaska. Pretty awesome. So I went and caught up with him. He's from the Netherlands. and now he's living in The Hague or close to it. So from there, I decided to hitchhike up to Amsterdam. So got up there pretty easily, just 2 rides, hitched in, and caught up with a guy, Robin, who had this sort of nomad base going on for a long time. Met him through a mutual friend and also through the context of that nomad base that he had going on, where basically I had an apartment and virtually anyone could kind of show up and stay for as long as they wanted, which in a lot of cases was just a day or two, but in a few cases was several months. And people were cooking for each other and hanging out and sharing ideas and having a good time. So I wanted to catch up with him, see him. So I did that. We caught up for some days, drinking some good beer, going around the city, talking about trust routes, because he's involved with trust routes, and trip hopping, because trip hopping is fun to talk about. And we're both nerdy in that travel tech kind of way. Done a bunch of hitchhiking, both of us. So it's really good catching up with him. And then someone from my Patreon had mentioned that they were going to be in Brussels and that I should drop on down if I could. And I could. So I did. And I hitchhiked from Amsterdam to Brussels in a day, several rides. One woman, there was a couple that picked me up who gave me like basically the last ride into Brussels. There's one more, took me like into the center. But this couple, while we were driving, she drew a picture. She sketched a picture of me and her dog in the back seat. It's kind of cool. I posted that on the Instagram, Hobo Lifestyle. Uh, Check that out. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Just someone drawing you in the front seat, not knowing it. Um, and Brussels, yeah, I met up with this Swiss couple. They were very cool, super cool. They've done like some hitchhiking races and basically just travel all the time now. Sort of like Airbnb style, kind of just like get a place and do some remote work and hang out and do cool shit, really. They're super fun to talk to. Drink some beers with, go around Brussels, went to a couple breweries. One really good one. I feel bad I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Maybe I'll look it up as we're chatting here because it's worth it. One of the best breweries I've been to in Belgium, actually. Not really traditional Belgian beers per se, but good stuff. Good stuff. Let me see. I got it right here. La Source Beer Co. Kind of north of the center. It's a good one. Check it out. I'm gonna take a sip of beer here too. I didn't even tell you what beer I'm drinking right now. It's a Malaskoski Finnish double IPA. It's all right. I've been drinking all my beers warm here because of the alcohol laws are weird. I guess I'll get into all that more as I go. Let me take this sip though. Yeah, not bad actually. Not bad. Alrighty, so yeah, Brussels was very cool. Walked out of the city, even went to Cantillon, which is a famous brewery, making sort of farmhouse style beers. Very good. Went there. And so when I got to Brussels, I reached in my pocket and I still had Robin's apartment keys, which is the first time I've made that mistake ever. You'd think after 17 years of traveling, that's a mistake I would have made once or twice and learned my lesson, but somehow I just never made the mistake. So I never learned the lesson. And I finally made the mistake this time. So I was like, all right, shit. Well, I guess I got to hitchhike back to Amsterdam, give him the keys. But I was like, I'm in Belgium. Why not fuck around a little bit? And I'd already decided that Norway was the thing. I'd been talked into it. Wasn't sure exactly what to expect, but it was on my radar. And actually, just to like give a little dangling carrot of what I knew I was going to do, I also pretty much committed to a friend that I would be in Riga, Latvia, to help him out with this English language thing, which is where I'm still heading now. So that was sort of the trajectory in my head, was that I had a little less than a month to get up to Norway, get my kicks, and eventually get down to Latvia. So with that in mind, Amsterdam was not a huge detour to go back there, a little bit. But yeah, like I said, I was in Belgium, wanted to screw around. West Vleteren is a Trappist monastery brewery. Pretty famous for a while. One of the beers they made was known as the best beer in the world. Some still consider it to be. It's still on like a lot of top beer lists. I've been there a couple times, but I'm like, I gotta hitchhike there again. You gotta hitchhike there to get their beer. That's the way it used to be. Well, you don't have to hitchhike there. I have to hitchhike there. But you have to go there to drink their beer unless you want to pay crazy amounts of money from someone who got a crate of it somehow. Yeah, so that's what I did. I hitchhiked there, walking through Brussels for a big part of the day, and then got a ride from one guy, and then I got a ride from this cool guy actually working on this robot situation. What is it called? Eve, E-V-E-E. If you look that up in context with the other shit I'm about to tell you, you'll probably find it. It looks like a bathroom seat size robot, but it goes around your garden and like kills weeds. And apparently he said they made arms for it, and they're not going to release the arms version to the public or anyone for another year or two. But I guess they do. I still haven't looked this up. They still have a video online of this robot cracking open a beer. So they've literally reached the pinnacle of robot technology. A robot that can open a beer and bring it to you and kill weeds on the way. The clear a path. Fucking awesome. EVEE, I think is what you want to search for. Fucking cool. It was awesome talking to that guy. And he lived in Vleteren. So he took me to West Vleteren directly to the brewery, or the restaurant that serves the brewery's beer right there. Popped in there, got a delicious goblet of the good stuff, and then another one and another one. Buddy of mine Venmo'd me some money while I was sitting there, so I was able to get a third, I think a fourth. Yeah, just drink down the good stuff. And I'm going to take a sip of beer here now, just thinking of that. Happy days. It is windy. There are people going by. Hope this recording comes out all right. I think it should be fine. So, yeah, in that same day, I had a Trust Roots host in Ghent lined up who I was interested in seeing because he worked with robots in a way too. So I managed to hitch the countryside, and then I got a ride from these two younger dudes, and they said, fuck it, we'll just put you on a train. And I was like, all right, I don't turn that kind of shit down, why not? So they bought me a train ticket, and yeah, it was just like an hour or something, got me to Ghent, and then Trust Roots host biked over with two bikes, which is kind of cool. So he met me at the train station with a bike so we could both cycle back to his spot. And yeah, it was a quick visit with that guy. Just got there, like, after dark, and grabbed a little bit of beer and some food, and we chowed down and drank just a couple beers and stayed up for, I don't know, some hours just bullshitting, talking about travel and robots and all kinds of junk, and then finally passed out. I woke up, he'd already gone to work, so off to Amsterdam I go, except not, because I got a message from someone in Antwerp that I'd met some years ago, so I decided to go there instead. So I went to Antwerp, stayed with a guy who'd hosted me some years ago. Yeah, just for the night. Oh no, yeah, just for the night. Shit's a little cloudy. But yeah, a good night of him and a friend of his just walking around Belgium, getting some good beers. He knows all these like little localish Belgian breweries, and so he always has stuff I haven't tried before. He owns an empanada shop, and they've got a cooler full of unique kind of Belgian beers. So just a good Belgian beer night, really, wandering around Antwerp. And then the next day, hitchhiked up to Amsterdam, pretty easy, to give Robin his key back, and then wound up staying in town for a couple days or so. Yeah, did a little trip hopping stuff there for sure. Was able to work on that. There were some rainy days, so worked on trip hopping a bit, nerded out with him. Again, more tech talk, travel talk, hitchhiking talk. And finally, I'm like, all right, at this point, I definitely got to get moving. That way I'm not feeling rushed when I'm getting up into Norway and everything else. Now it's the opposite. I'm just chilling in Finland, sitting on a park bench. I'm not rushed at all. Take a sip of beer. I'll get to all this. Fucking A. Norway is the shit. But we're getting there. We're getting there. So hitchhiked out of Amsterdam. Got a ride from an older woman going a little ways. Got a bunch of rides. Couples, young girls, young dudes, all kinds of fucking people. Like I said, listen to the Patreon if you want the play-by-play on all the rides that I get. Because I do that. So when it's fresh in my head. And if I didn't do that and write this stuff down, there's no way in hell I would remember all the rides that I got. I'm so glad that I've written stuff down over the years and I'm now doing that microcast on Patreon. That way, I don't know, 10 years from now, if I'm like, well, didn't I, how'd that day go? I can listen directly and see. Oh yeah, that's who gave me a ride. So yeah, made my way to Hamburg. I thought about kicking it in Hamburg for a day or two, but I didn't manage to find a host or anything, and I got there. The last ride I got, this guy was super cool. He went and like got us a fried chicken kind of dinner, which is kind of cool. The European Cup is going on, football, soccer. It's going on, so the police were out there shooting people with water hoses, all that good shit. Some guy had an axe or whatever. Fun times. So I kind of kicked it in Hamburg until it was getting late, and then sort of started walking out. Found a giant park kind of situation where I was able to camp. Camped out, and yeah, mission Denmark in the morning. So started making moves in the morning. Got a few rides. Got an awesome ride from one Danish guy who took me to his brother's place. So I just met his brother real quick for all of 15 minutes. His brother and his wife and some other grandparents and family who came in just at that exact moment just for coffee and little snacks, just to chat. Kind of love that part of hitchhiking, where it's just you just go on these little side missions to meet people's families, and they're like, "What the fuck? You're from New York?" All right. Oh yeah, I guess I am in fucking Denmark. This is different. Caught up with them. He gave me a ride closer to Copenhagen, and ultimately I got one last ride pretty much into Copenhagen. And again, I didn't find a Trust Routes host. Yeah, one issue with me, I guess, with finding hosts is that I'm somewhat selective. Like, I want to find like the coolest people, and I usually just send one message at a time. I know a lot of people with couch surfing stuff, they blast out a message to all kinds of people and hope one sticks. But I just sort of send one to the coolest person. And I give them a day or two to respond. If they don't, then maybe I message the next one. But because of that strategy, sometimes I don't always find somebody. But it's okay, because I have a tent and other things can happen. So the one thing I knew I wanted to do in Copenhagen was go to Mikkeller, which is an epic brewery, Danish brewery. Well, actually, they brew in a lot of different places. It's kind of a weird company, but epic beer. So they had a couple locations. So I went to one. I got a very fucking expensive beer. I went to the other. I also got a $17 stout because that was the cheapest stout. It's fucking crazy. So just several ounces of beer too. This is not a pint. It was like a 12-13% stout, and it was absolutely world class and delicious. But Jesus Christ, $17. Take a sip of this €4 beer. Hold on. So yeah, I went to the big spot first where they barbecue. A few blocks away, I went to the smaller spot hoping they'd have some different beers. They did. And then I went back to the barbecue spot because I was getting a little beer in the system, getting a little looser with the wallet. Even though I was like running low, I was like, all right, I'm fucking here. I got to drink some. So, and then wound up at a little beer bar where scoring some free beers. It's just because I was the token foreigner. So a couple people bought me some beers while I was there. It's pretty nice. And then I was like, oh, that's kind of like midnight or something. Should probably find a place to camp. I'm in the middle of a big ass city. So I stumbled around into the darkness and found a place I probably normally wouldn't camp, but I camped there. Just woke up to light rain, just like slightly exposed, but still up on a hill on a tree line. I was pretty hidden. I don't think anyone saw me, but Usually my standards are a little higher for getting hidden. So yeah, decided, fuck it, I got my kicks, I got my beers. Probably start heading towards Sweden, Stockholm, where I did have a trusted host set up, and I'd never been to Sweden before, so I was excited. So walked quite a bit to get across Copenhagen. And yeah, started hitchhiking up through Sweden. It was a good ways, so by the time it was getting dark, I just camped out just shy of Stockholm. And in the morning, I continued and actually waited a long time. Waited 5 hours for a ride. That's the longest I've waited for a ride in a good long time. But got to Stockholm and yeah, met this guy Nils. Super cool. I stayed with him for 2 or 3 days there in Stockholm. Just kind of wandered around while he was at work, checked some stuff out. Went to Omni Pollo, which is a brewery I've been wanting to go to for a while. It's known for their stouts, so did that. It's kind of the highlight of Stockholm. Talking to him, he had some stories about biking, China, Mongolia, and yeah, some really cool travel stories. And just a super chill guy. Even like just watched some Netflix and hung out. It was kind of good to relax, which would be my last relaxation day like that for a while. So it was cool. And then yeah, Norway bound. Let me get a sip of beer here, and we'll jump into Norway, the heart of it. Hold on. All right, fucking Norway. So, oh yeah, I'm gonna tell you about I'll wait until the end. I found this free eSIM thing, so I'm rocking like cell service now again for free. Pretty handy. I'll tell you about that though. At the end, what's that called? A teaser. So yeah, 13 rides I got that day. I do remember that. 13 rides from Stockholm to just shy of Oslo. It was already the further north I was getting, and it was the summer solstice while I was in Stockholm. So the days were getting later. So it was pretty awesome for hitchhiking. It would only get more extreme, but it was staying late until midnight at least already. So I was able to, get the whole day in. A lot of rides that day, a good amount of walking, but and I could have gotten into Oslo, I'm sure. I could have hitched like one more ride, but I didn't really want to get into Oslo at like midnight and then try to find a place to camp. So I just camped just shy of it in the woods somewhere, and then yeah, hitched a ride in the morning, pretty easy. Got to Oslo bright and early, checked out whatever that thing is they got downtown, called an opera building or something like that. I don't know, walked to the top of that, checked it out. Got a giant library there, charged up, caught up on some stuff, used the sink to rinse off real quick. And yeah, didn't have a host there or anything like that. And I don't know, to be honest, no one really told me anything like amazing about Oslo. And it looked fine. It looked like a decent city, but it looked like a decent city. There's dozens of those around the world, so it didn't seem like anything crazy other than stories of it being wildly expensive, which I wasn't excited about. So yeah, I went some days without eating for sure. Norway is expensive, especially for the only things I care about, beer and food. Beer and food. Let me take a sip of this beer. Yeah, the only things I pay for mostly, beer and food, and beer in particular. Crazy. So yeah, after just like wandering around the downtown, just kind of getting a feel for it, decided I should start hitchhiking on over to Bergen. And yeah, kind of my goal with Norway was I'd been told a couple things. Go to Lofoten. It's one of the most beautiful places you'll see. I heard that from Walter and a couple other people. And then Walter also told me to go to Nordkapp, which is the very north of Norway and basically the most northern point of Europe. So I was like, all right, that's part of the plan. Everything else that I'm about to tell you, I just kind of made up as I went. So like Bergen, I saw Bergen on the map. I'm like, oh, that'd be cool. And just like looking at the map, it looked like the west coast was probably more beautiful than going straight up. So I was like, all right, let me hitchhike from Oslo to Bergen. So this is kind of a fun day. Got a ride out of Oslo pretty easy, another couple rides, started moving. Finally, I got to this part of the highway where it's just like dead, like not a lot of traffic later in the day. And out of nowhere, I got picked up, van slowed down, big graphic on the side of someone in a wheelchair looking like an action star. And it's this woman in this van gave me a ride. She's going to the Extreme Sports Festival, and she participates by going down the fucking mountain in a wheelchair. Fucking awesome. So, really good time with her, just chatting and hearing about her story and how like she went to this Extreme Sports Festival after a divorce, I believe. So it was like her first time without her kids, because the kids were like with the dad for the summer or whatever. So anyways, she was just like, it was her first like little stretch without the kids, and she just decided to go to this Extreme Sports Festival in Voss in the mountains there. And yeah, she saw a bunch of people go down on like longboards, I guess, the mountain, and she just sort of jokingly was like, with her friends or new friends that she'd made, like, I wonder if I could go down in my wheelchair. And instead of just leaving it at that and being a joke, she just went downhill. And didn't just take one turn, but took all the turns and made it down the fucking mountain. And yeah, now she's been doing that since, I'm pretty sure 2015. I might be wrong, but she's been doing it for years now. It's like an official event. It's growing. This year in particular is getting bigger and bigger. So yeah, she asked if I wanted to like camp with her and her friends. I was like, fuck yeah. Wanted to stay for the whole week, but just had to make moves. So yeah, camped, met some of her friends, saw the longboarders actually going down the stretch. She showed me exactly what stretch of mountain she went down that first time. Very cool. She had a lot of energy, good vibes, just one of those people that's just happy vibes, good times. So that was cool. Just, yeah, camped with them, and then in the morning, I had to keep it moving, so started going up the West Coast. I took a lot of ferries going up the West Coast. Luckily, they were all free. I think 4 or 5 ferries. Like, 2 of them, I was like already in a car, and we just like hopped on these ferries. They're usually like 10 or 15 minute rides. One was longer, and 2 of them I walked onto. But yeah, somewhere in that mix, I think I camped one day. That couple days is a little bit hazy. A lot of rides, and just drop dead beautiful. Like, so the beauty really started when she picked me up, that girl in the wheelchair. Like, it stopped being just like kind of green and trees and kind of rolly, like, you know, pleasant terrain, to being like fucking epic. Like, big ass cliffs with impromptu waterfalls just pouring down, and big fjords going around, and hell of a lot of tunnels went through too. But just like epic beauty, like really cool lakes. Man, reminded me a little bit of Milford Sound in New Zealand, a little bit of Glacier National Park in Montana, and the beauty just did not stop for a while. So that continued on going up through the West Coast. And I knew Trondheim was supposed to be kind of a decent city, so I sent a message to Trust Routes host there, got a positive response. That was my next landing spot. And one guy took me over the ferry and then just dropped me off kind of on the other side, just on one side of town, a town called Molde. It's a terrible name for a town. Mold, basically. But yeah, this guy in a Tesla picked me up. That's another thing about Norway. I think half the rides I got or more were from electric vehicles. At least 3 Teslas. But even that girl's van, the wheelchair, that was electric. I rode in 2 electric vans. That's the first and a second for me. So it sounded like an electric bike going by me too. Lazy bastard. Um, yeah, a lot of electric cars. So anyways, this guy picks me up in an electric Tesla and almost immediately offers to let me crash at his place for the night. And I kind of thought maybe I could have made it to Trondheim, but I was like, man, it's tough to turn that down when someone with like good energy offers to like let you stay there. So I was like, all right, cool. He's like, I just got to pick up my son. So we did that, went over to his parents' place, or not his parents, but I guess his in-laws, to pick up his grandkid, and just chatted with them for a little bit. A quick bite to eat, back to his place, and I got some homebrew back at his place. That was awesome. I opened the fridge and asked me if I wanted something to drink. and there's a bunch of beers in there, and he's like, oh, there's this, and my brother homebrewed this. I'm like, well, fuck yeah. So got to drink some homebrewed IPAs. Pretty good, and then just watch some of the games with him, that European Cup kind of thing. So that was good, just catching up with him. Was able to do laundry, shower, all the stuff, and got a really good night's sleep. And yeah, in the morning he drove me probably a good 30 minutes up across the bridge and to the next ferry, which I waited 10 or 15 minutes for and just walked on. All free. Pretty cool, the ferries in Norway. I don't know if you got to pay in your car, probably, but you can walk on for free. It's a nice feature. And yeah, eventually some guy delivering books picked me up. So I rode around with him because he was going to Trondheim. So I just went into some small little villages and stuff while he delivered some books or whatever he's doing to these libraries, and then dropped me off in Trondheim. And then actually that morning I got a message from a guy saying, hey, if you're in Trondheim, on Instagram, he messaged me, if you're in Trondheim, like, hit me up. And I was like, I'm going to be there today. Like, good timing, dude. This is a guy I met in Budapest, like, pretty briefly years ago, at a bar. So he was still in touch. Yep, met up with him. Spent the day drinking some good beers, checking out Trondheim, going to different viewpoints and stuff. And then as it was getting later, I was like, I got to get to this Truster's house place. This guy was super chill. And I only spent the one night with him. The host, he'd done some hitchhiking in Canada and I think a little bit in the US. And so didn't get to spend too much time with him, but it was cool just to swap some stories that night. And he had to go early in the morning too, so did not get much sleep because we stayed up talking till 1 or 2, and then we were up at like 6. And I had to get out the door when he was, so it's kind of raining. But yeah, I was excited because my next step was Lofoten, which is what everyone was saying is like the shit, the place in Norway, the place to be. The beer I'm about to sip. Hold on a sec. So I was excited. That was the move. I got the first ride I got out of the city was a guy going like 4 or 5 hours. That's a good start. He was going up to see family or something. And then bunch of walking, whole lot of walking, a few more rides. And what did I do that night? I guess eventually I camped out. Did I camp out? Yeah, I think I did. Got going the next day and eventually got to Buda. Gotta look at the map again. I think it was called, well, it was definitely called Buda. Just forget if I camped out in between. But anyways, by the time I got to Buda, which is where the ferry is that goes to Lofoten, and that was like a 3 or 4 hour ferry. So that one I had to like look up. I was like, I don't know if that one's gonna be free. Sure as fuck it was, dude. Like, it was pretty cool. So actually the last ride I got into that town was this woman who dropped me off right at the brewery at like 11:45. This brewery that closed at midnight. And the sun, at this point, I'm far enough north where the sun's just not going down, which is a trip. So it's like midnight and the sun's like still there, shining. On the horizon, but still there, shining. I got one beer. It sucked. It was not, yeah, it sucked. It sucked. Let's just be honest. It's an IPA. It was not good. The brewery seemed cool. Bartender was cool. But the beer itself was inadequate. But a beer nonetheless. And I walked over to the ferry. The ferry left at like 3 a.m. It's like a 3-hour ride, so kind of got some sleep on the ferry. And then I arrived in Lofoten. Supposed to be the highlight of Norway, and fuck it, it kind of was. I mean, pretty epic. I think everything I saw up until that point was epic too. So it was all pretty awesome. But yeah, Lofoten definitely special. Mountains just coming out of the sea. Very cool. Waterfalls all over the place. And there was a Trust Roots host there who wasn't there, but he gave me the coordinates to his place, which was an old Nazi bunker that he bought or got somehow, whatever, and turned into what he called like a art project / shelter, open to all. But he gave me the coordinates of how to get up the hiking trail to it and all that good stuff. So I spent the day just kind of like checking out Lofoten though, checking out different spots. German couple in a RV picked me up, cruised with them for a little bit. Got a ride from a kayak guide who'd moved there to be a kayak guide. And yeah, just enjoying all the beauty, hiking around. And then I went and grabbed a couple beers and a little bit of food and tracked down the start of this little hiking trail and sort of had to climb straight up and then got to this bunker, and fuck was it awesome. I definitely posted that on Instagram. I recommend looking at that, my reels or whatever. I think I posted a few things, but there should be even like some drone footage you can look at. It was sick. Like, there's no one there. He said there's a chance there might be other people there because it's kind of open to anybody. But it's nothing you would find. You would have to know it's there to get there for sure. And yeah, no one was there the whole time that I was there. So I drank my beers, hung out, enjoyed the view, and eventually passed out fucking hard because I had not slept much at all in the days before. So, did I hitchhike through the night? Oh, no. That's just because, yeah, there was the night with the trusted host where stayed up talking and then barely just sleeping on the ferry the night before. So, yeah, really slept good in the bunker. Super quiet, as you can imagine. And woke up and thought about hanging around, but I looked at the weather and it looked like it was about to get pretty bad. So I thought maybe I would try to get up to Nordkapp before it got real bad. Because Nordkapp is supposed to be the most northern point. I'm like, I want to see it while it's clear, whatever it is to see. And so I started moving, and this started one of the longest hitchhiking stretches I've done. One of them, just because it does not get dark. That shit just did not get old to me. It's still not old. Like, just the fact that it, especially the further north I got, that it's like 2 in the morning, you're still looking at the sun. Jesus. It's hard to stop hitchhiking when it doesn't get dark. So in this case, I knew that's what I was going to do. I was going to use that to my advantage. So I hitchhiked out of Lofoten midday, early afternoon. Started moving ride after ride, and I'll take a sip of beer here. So yeah, destination very north of Europe. So I was getting some good rides. Got a ride from a autistic dude who was actually like really cool, talking about like LARPing in Oslo and shit like that. And he got me somewhere in around like midnight by this fjord that was like pretty goddamn beautiful. Bunch of waterfalls I was looking at, but like no traffic. And then coming from the other direction, I see like a car stop, and I guess they must have passed me, but I just whatever. But anyways, I see this car stop. I see this guy get out, throw his hands up, and then I see this girl get out of the car and just book it in the opposite direction to start running away. And I'm like, what the fuck? And she just runs all the way down the road and turns a corner. I'm like, what the fuck was that? So I sorry. Maybe I need a sip of beer, right? Delicious. So I should have gotten 2 beers for this goddamn podcast. So I keep walking forward, and I get close to the car, and then he gets my attention. I'm like, what the fuck just happened with that poor girl? And he asked me where I'm going. I tell him Nordkapp, and he's like, I can give you a ride. I'm like, okay. What about that escapee? Am I going to be in a similar situation? And he's like, car's fucking up. Something about the brakes and overheating and stuff. And then he says, my daughter went to go get water, which made sense and it didn't. I mean, it is what happened, but it was just like, why did you stop here? Like, why didn't you stop where the water was? Why did you just book it in that direction? I don't know. Uh, so wait a second, and then we hop in the car. He clears some space in the back seat, and then we drive up and meet the daughter where she's at, and they're pouring water just like on the tire and stuff. And eventually we get rolling, and they're actually really, really cool. Father, daughter, from Russia. And yeah, just super cool. Just talked my ear off. Had a whole lot to say about all kinds of stuff. And they were going far. So I rode with them, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours or something until we got to Alta, something in the north there. And then the steering wheel started to give out. He couldn't turn the steering wheel. So he's like, yeah, we're going to have to stop and like let this thing cool down. Probably sleep. And this is like 5 in the morning. So I'm like, all right, well, I got to keep moving. Just nonstop hitchhiking through the night. And yeah, so I walked through that city about an hour or so. Totally quiet. It's weird, like weird when the sun is like at that point kind of up in the sky and you're walking through a town city and there's nothing going on. There's no like businesses open, obviously. There's no people walking around, jogging around, biking around. There's just nothing going on, but bright as hell. Anyways, I walked through all that and finally got a ride from a 18-wheeler. So that was just the second 18-wheeler. I got a ride earlier that was kind of glazed over from this guy from Belarus who's pretty funny. Just talking shit about USA and stuff like that. So, but yeah, this 18-wheeler got me maybe within 3 hours of a Nordcap. And that's where I got a ride from a van, a German family going up to Nordcap. They're actually part of this superlative adventure club thing or something. It was kind of like a rally. They were calling it a rally. And there's like 150 vehicles in total, all doing this big loop from like Hamburg. Basically the same exact loop I was doing, except I'm not looping completely. I'm not closing the loop. But from Hamburg all the way up to Nordcap and then going down through Finland and back to Hamburg. And every day they had a task, and today's task was to take a picture at Nordcap. So fucking A. So I rode with them all the way to Nordcap and give that place a miss, man. Like the adventure to get up there, yes, it was fun. But when I got up there, it was just super windy, totally clouded in. There's like a little monument that sort of, it's like, this is the most northern point. But I couldn't see anything. I couldn't tell how far above the water I was. I could gather I was on a cliff of some kind, but total whiteout. Like, so nothing to see up there. Could have just looked at a picture or something. And yeah, the scenery got a little sparser as we were getting up there too. Just not as many trees and things like that. Still cool to look at, but actually getting up there. And like right 20 kilometers south of the main point, there is something like a town with a gigantic cruise ship that I guess apparently there might be as many as 3 or 4 cruise ships at a time that just like unleash the fucking tourists into there. So like for that moment, I was one of them, just like going up to this arbitrary point for no reason other than to be there. It's like, what the fuck have I done? Fuck you, Walter. You and your advice. But, you know, thankfully I was able to ride back with that German family another couple hours south from there and keep hitchhiking. And at this point, mission Finland. And while I was in the van, I actually sent and received back a message from a trusted host in a town in Finland I was hoping I could get to that day. So that was my new target. I think Inari is the more popular spot, and she lived in Ivalo, not far from there. So it's like, all right, hopefully I can get there. So I got a ride from like a pickup truck, not far, like 10 miles. And then I'm walking, and a car stops, and who is it? It's the fucking Russian guy and his daughter again. I'm like, what the fuck? This is like 12 hours later. I think I hitchhiked for 40 something hours straight in this stretch, and I'm in hour 30 something. So I'm like, all right, fucking sweet. So they picked me up, and I rode with them for a couple hours, like more, just shooting the shit. Went and got also he had like a bunch of bags. His English wasn't great, so that's why I think I like missed some of the details. Like he probably told me they were going that way or something. Um, but anyways, he moved a bunch of bags of frozen French fries so I could get back in the back seat, and then we delivered those fries to just like a little kiosk trailer close to Finland. Some hours later, this guy selling kebab and stuff, and man, got to eat some kebab. And then he drove me another 10 or 20 minutes to the Finnish border, and they had to like turn around to go another way. And I'm like, all right, maybe see you again, dude. I don't know. You're all over the goddamn place. And then I waited at the Finnish border, which is not much of a, you can tell it used to be a checkpoint or something, but it's not anymore. You can just free borders over here. So not a lot of traffic. Finally started walking and eventually got picked up by this like 17-year-old dude who dropped out of school, and he has 100 reindeer right now. So kind of a weird thing about Norway and Finland is all the reindeer are spoken for. They're all owned. They're all roaming around like regular deer. You know, they're jumping in the road and getting hit by fucking cars and all that stuff like regular deer do. But a lot of times you'll see they got collars on, and they're all tagged, and they're all owned and spoken for. And he owns 100 of them. So he was telling me about that, and just got his license, and he knows he's going to lose it soon because he likes speeding, but it's just what's going to happen. Anyways, he took me to the next road past where he was going, and then he got out for a second and lit a cigarette, and he's just like, no, I'm going to take you a little further, because he's like, there's no traffic here either. So he took me into Innery, which was nice of him. But then I walked through Innery, and I was maybe, it's less than an hour from where this girl lived, who I was going to stay with. And it was already late. It was already like 11 or so. And she's like, had some long days. She's like, I'm going to be going to bed. If you can get here in the next like half hour, cool. I can pick you up at the closer town. If not, not so much. And then it was getting later still. And I'm like, it's not a lot of traffic. And she's like, I absolutely got to go to bed. But here's the address. I'll leave the door open if you happen to make it, wander on in, and couch is waiting for you. So not long after that, I did get a ride from someone, and they were going to Ivalo, but I still had this 10-kilometer walk from where I got dropped off to get to this girl's house. And normally I'd be like, whatever, especially, the sun's shining, and throw the headphones on, listen to podcasts, and, maybe score some random 1 a.m. ride. But the mosquitoes are just absolutely fucking bananas, dude. Top 10 shitty mosquito experience, I would say. Just for 2 hours. 2 hours just walking and running and jogging and trying to swat these fucking things off of me. I skipped couple rides earlier. I was skimming over shit because there's so many rides there. But there was a Czech couple. Doesn't really matter. But there was a Czech couple that was really cool. They were working with huskies and stuff in Sweden. They picked me up. They were cool. But I also got a ride from a guy in the Air Force, and he took me back to his place real quick because he had all these MREs, and he's like, take as many as you want. And I got a whole garbage bag full because I hadn't eaten in days, and I was fucking feeling hungry. But then I'm like, God damn it, I got this garbage bag, not a garbage bag, a shopping bag that's like just as heavy as my backpack that I'm just carrying. So I bring that up now because now I'm walking down here. There's one less hand to swat with, So I got this fucking shopping bag, and they're landing on my hand and the back of my neck and my legs and all over the goddamn. They just will not stop, and I would just take off running. And they're already on top of me. I don't know if they're chasing me or if I'm just running into another equally thick cloud of them. I couldn't even think. For 2 hours, I couldn't think. I couldn't just zone out to a podcast or think about my thoughts. Like, nothing. So I finally showed up to her place, like, I don't know, between 1:30 and 2 in the morning, just sweaty and full of bites and like blood on my legs and junk. Oh man. It felt good to get in there though. Got in there and just like splashed some water all over me, and she left sheets and stuff out, so passed out hard on the couch. And yeah, woke up in the morning when she did. I was like, fucking hey, I'm in Finland. Finland is scenery change for sure, and it's pretty much stayed the same. It's just a lot of forest and kind of rolling terrain. Nothing super crazy. Not ugly. Wouldn't say that, but definitely not super beautiful or stunning. You know, beautiful in that like forest kind of way. That's about it. Not really super dynamic. But Finland, fucking A. And this girl's fucking cool. I love when you get like an awesome couch surfing host. This Truster's host in this case. And she was just cool, you know, the kind of person where you just like feel at home right away. That was her. So very cool. Just like caught up with her, and then she's like, let's go do something. So she's like, let's get you some reindeer sausage and go on a hike. Fuck yeah. So I went to the grocery store. Yeah, I grabbed some reindeer sausage. She grabbed some vegetarian sausage or whatever. Grabbed a couple beers, and yeah, she took me on a hike. Fucking mosquitoes are kind of brutal on that hike as well, but whatever. There's a fire going. A couple other fishermen had started. And yeah, cooked these reindeer sausage over the fire while getting bitten by mosquitoes, drinking some Finnish beer. I was in Finland, finally. And while we were there, got a call from my brother who like burned himself. So we were like, I gotta go take him to the hospital. Not super serious, but yeah, I guess he wanted to go to the hospital. So we finished our sausages and hiked out and went to the lodge where he works. He's a waiter, hence the hot cocoa spillage. And who's at the front desk but Nora, the girl who picked me up the night before. It's kind of funny. She had mentioned she like probably knows some of the people, so it was just kind of funny. But yeah, there you are. Nice to see you again. Spanish girl has been living in Finland for a while, doing tours. Gets pretty popular, I guess, in the wintertime. People come up for the Northern Lights and all that, which I have missed because it's fucking daylight all the time. So I'll have to come back here in some capacity. Hitchhiking will be tough. Everyone says it gets fucking cold. So we'll see. But yeah, met her brother. We stopped back at the house real quick, and I just stayed there while they went to the hospital. And I don't know, just wrapped his hand up or whatever. It wasn't that bad. And yeah, they got back and just had dinner and started having some drinks and playing some board games. And for the board games, I found out, I kind of heard a lot of shit about saunas, like saunas in Sweden and Finland being a thing. And I didn't realize how much of a thing it was. Like, I guess everybody in Finland basically has a sauna. It's as common as a washing machine. So it was kind of crazy to me. So she's like, let's go in the sauna. We don't give a fuck about nudity. And I've been in a sauna before, but I've never done like the proper thing, I guess, which is like we go in a sauna and like chill there for a little bit and then pop out and jump. She had a river in her backyard, so just pop out into the cold river. Not freezing, but you know. And then swim around for a minute, a couple swigs of beer, and then back into the sauna and just kind of rinse and repeat several times. So it's like, oh man, that's kind of luxurious. It's crazy that this is a feature that basically everyone has. She says some people say there's more saunas than people. And she's like, actually, we have two. There's an electric one in the house we never use. And it's like, maybe it's true. But yeah, sauna, Finland. Super common. They say they invented it. So anyways, that, and then just playing board games. When it stays light so late, it's like, fuck, it was like 2 a.m. And it doesn't feel like 2 a.m. because it's just light out. It's like, oh shit, I guess we all got to go to sleep. She had to start a new job the next day, and I had to start hitchhiking south, which is where I am now. So yeah, in the morning, kind of took it easy, and then she dropped me off in town, and I started hitchhiking to where I'm coming now. And wasn't feeling in a hurry, because I think I was sort of like overcompensating the past week, just like trying to keep it moving more or less, and, you know, trying to beat storms, to Nordcap, stuff like that. And I don't know, I'm just probably moving like 3 days faster than I needed to. That coupled with, I kept sending messages to people in Helsinki just because I knew I'd be in Helsinki, and didn't get a positive response yet, and still haven't. So I didn't really have anywhere definitive to get to. So I knew I wouldn't be in a hurry, and which is always kind of nice when you're hitchhiking, because then you can like really just like open up to whatever happens. So start hitchhiking from her place south. Got some cool rides. One guy had a burner in the back with a pot and stuff. He checks wooden poles for a living, telephone poles. Pretty easy job, but does pretty well. And anyways, he saw my big bag of MREs. He's like, if you want to cook one, like I was going to stop and make coffee anyways. So that was cool, because a lot of these MREs that I got, these meals ready to eat, I just assume that you guys all know what those are when I mentioned them earlier. There's these packed meals meant for people in the military mainly, but it's a lot of dehydrated food. And yeah, you just add boiling water, and I don't travel with a stove or anything anymore. So he's like, yeah, we'll boil up some water. You can eat one of your meals, and you can have some coffee too. So anyways, that was cool. And then the next ride I got was from this woman, Tina. And at this point, it was basically midnight, and she was just going to the next town, and she offered to let me crash there if it was cool with her husband. It was cool with her husband. So we rolled up and watched the end of whatever European Cup soccer game was on. Passed out on the big old couch. Hung out with her in the morning. Went on a little hike with the dog. She drove me an hour south to Oulu, next decent sized town. And yeah, kind of checked out that town a little bit and hitched south. And gotta look at the map. Trying to find a place to camp. So kind of got moving. Let's see. Oulu. People have been pretty friendly. It's another one of these places like Norway, Finland. Everyone says like, yeah, it might be tough getting rides here. People are kind of closed off. I'm like, we're getting rides pretty easy. Not too bad. So yeah, anyways, hitchhiked. I stayed in Oulu for a good part of the day actually. And then when I did hitchhike, I got this one ride, which this guy only took me like 2 or 3 exits, but he took me to a super dead zone. And then I walked on the highway, and the cops came and told me I couldn't be on the highway, which was unfortunate, because then I had to walk another hour or so to the next exit, which was also just as dead, which is the time you want to go on the highway. Walked to the next exit. Finally, these 3 dudes gave me a ride just to the next exit again, so it's just slow moving that part of the day, just because there wasn't much traffic. So finally I camped, which is, again, hard to do, and it's like just daylight all the time. But oh my gosh, I should probably sleep. And yeah, that was yesterday, last night. So, or was it? Was it? Losing track. Again, with this daylight, all blends together. But I woke up there, started hitchhiking. This was yesterday morning. Yeah, I woke up, started hitchhiking, got a cool ride from an Estonian truck driver, and stopped in this one little junction town after getting a ride from a guy. He was going to Helsinki, but I'm like, I don't want to quite get to Helsinki yet. I want to go to this Tampere town, which is the second biggest city in Finland. So that's where I am now. So last night, yeah, I got a ride from this girl going to a festival near here in her van. She was real cool, good energy. So she dropped me off downtown. It's still, I popped into one brewery. I took one look at their tap list, and I was like, you guys can probably go fuck yourselves. Just a bunch of boring ass looking beers, all for like €9 each. I'm like, come on, guys, like, get a fucking grip. So walked about face, which I don't do very often, just about face, and got out of there. And found another brewery, which was not much better, but good enough and cheaper. Had a beer there, and then another beer bar, and then found a place to camp in the park. And yeah, woke up today, spent a little time in the library, and decided I need to record this fucking podcast. So here I am in the park in Finland, recording that fucking podcast. So goddamn, that was a lot of catching up to do. Fuck yeah, it was. Woo! Yeah, but I'm excited for what's coming up. And as always, let me take you to the outro and I'm going to tell you what I know about what's coming up. Some I do, some I don't. So, happy fucking days. Let me take a sip of beer. All right, so that was a big dump. Big dump of a trip through Norway, all the beautiful stuff. Good times, good times. Just another point to say, get on my Patreon and buy me a beer, damn it. And it's like $6 a month if you get on my page, patreon.com/kenflannery. And I just post a bunch of bonus pictures and all sorts of stuff there, and I give access to trip hopping stuff. But by far the biggest thing is the micro podcast, which I have fun doing because it's like real quick and things are fresh in my mind, and it's just like 2 minutes, 6 minutes. I think 12 minutes is the longest one I ever did. So it's like quick bursts, and you can still listen to them in your podcast app, and it's fresh, good stuff throughout the days. Yeah, so anyways, like I said, I'm in Finland, so the mission is, what is today? It's the 4th of motherfucking July, motherfuckers. I gotta go. I'm gonna go, I think, to the library and upload this, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do. How am I gonna celebrate the 4th of July here? I don't necessarily want to. Should I drink American beer in Finland? Break my rule? Maybe. Maybe I'll just wander around town until I hear someone with a British accent and follow them, troll the shit out of them. This is possible. Anyways, I'll let you know how that goes. But yeah, it is the 4th of July. And I brought that up because by the 10th, pardon, I need to be in Riga. So my buddy, oh man, I might do a podcast with him. Kurt Reifler. I did a podcast with him before. You can go search the archives there for Kurt Reifler and hear the backstory with him. He's a fucking trip. I haven't seen him in years. Holy shit. I'm excited to catch up with him. So he's doing some kind of English immersion thing, which I know a little bit about, and he's like really trying to talk me into it. He's like, you'll have an Airbnb, everything will be paid for, food. And so finally I had to make commitments, you know? So finally, I could tell he was like stressing a little bit about it. So I was like, fine, dude, I'll fucking be there. July 10th, 14th, I'm locked in. So that's what I'm locked into now, which is now affecting my days. So yeah, I've been moving a little bit quick, and also just the fact that I haven't been able to find a host to stay with in Helsinki or Tallinn in Estonia, which make things more interesting. Yeah, complicating things a little bit. But yeah, so that's the mission. I got 6 days to get down there to Riga, which is not that far. So where I am right now in Tampere is like a 2-hour drive to Helsinki. And in Helsinki, it's just a ferry ride to Estonia. And then from Estonia to Riga is like a 4-hour drive. So we're talking about 6 hours of hitchhiking, which, you know, is nothing. But 6 days to get there. So I can go an hour a day. It'd be good. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna do. I'm trending towards camping here in Tampere again tonight. And then just try to time it out right. If I don't find a host in either Helsinki or Estonia, try to time it out so I can yeah, get there, check out the city, do the ferry thing, check out Tallinn in Estonia, which I'm also excited for. I might be able to stealth camp in these cities. I just got to look at the map. It's always possible to make it more of a non-issue, depending on the rain and stuff like that. There's this one beer from Estonia I keep seeing. It's from Tallinn. Oh, I keep wanting to get it because it's like 13% Imperial Stout. It looks pretty damn good. Oh, so I didn't mention earlier in the episode the deal with the alcohol rules in these goddamn countries. How expensive shit is. Like, I've not been eating a lot of food up until that MRE Air Force guy gave me that bag of food. But the alcohol, not only is it expensive because it's like taxed all hell, but it has weird rules. So Norway and Finland, at least, and Sweden all have these rules. Like, they can't sell beer in the grocery stores that's above a certain percentage. In Sweden, it's something like 2.8%. I think in Finland it might be a little more generous, like 5% or so, which is not terrible. But then each country has like, in Norway it's literally called Vin Monopolet, like wine monopoly. So it's like it's like Utah. you can only buy like you can only buy alcohol, liquor, and stronger beers. This one chain of alcohol stores, and then here in Finland it's called Alko, but they're not cold. So I've been drinking a lot of warm beer, but I mean it's good beer, so it's still good warm. I'm getting the better stuff, but that's sort of been the vibe. And the breweries have not been fantastic, just because they've been crazy expensive. So it's like, why would I go there? Like, especially because the few breweries I have been to have not been like super awesome as far as like the social vibe is concerned. So it's like, why am I gonna go to a brewery where the bartenders aren't like super talkative, or like the setup isn't conducive to meeting other people, when I can just do what I'm doing now and like get a beer and sit on a bench. Like, it's kind of the way I've been looking at it. So a little goofy. So I'm excited for Estonia. Maybe it's different. And I've got that rule of only drinking beers from the country that I'm in, which, you know, I break sometimes, but I more or less stick to that. So waiting to get down there. So yeah, that's what's ahead. Is that maybe I'll do a podcast with Kurt if there's time, if he's into it. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. That Magic Mind stuff, they're hooking me up again, sending me some more of that delicious nectar. So I told them fucking thank you. And maybe some more of you guys want to check it out. I definitely recommend it. A few of you guys have reached out and said that you've gotten it and tried it yourselves and liked it, which is good news for me, or else I probably wouldn't be talking about it anymore if no one else was liking it. So here's that code again, because you can save a bunch of money. Let's see. Oh yeah, you can get 48% off your first subscription, or 20% off if you just want a one-time purchase. You just got to use my code at checkout, freestyleshow20. And you got to go to magicmind.com/freestyleshow to make that happen. So yeah, that's Magic Mind. Oh yeah, I was gonna tell you about Firsty. This is valuable information that only you guys who listen to the end are gonna get. So some of you may know, and I guess it doesn't matter whether you know or not, but I stopped paying for cell service some years ago, and just relied on Wi-Fi. So, because I'm like, fuck it, I got a Google Voice number. If I find Wi-Fi, I can still text and call people, and Wi-Fi is all over the place. And it's like 95% of the time, it's been great. Like, I don't really need internet on the go. But there have been times where I'm like, man, like, I'm getting close to someone, or it's getting late and I want to like text them or something. And those have been the time, you know, I can't find Wi-Fi, or I get to town and I've got to stay with the couch surfing host. And it's like, can't find Wi-Fi right away, but I need to, you know, find out where they're at. Those are the few times where I'm like, I wish I did have some kind of cell service. So I did find, just want to make sure, tell you exactly what it is. Yeah, I guess it's just Firsty, Firsty. Definitely works on Android. This is not an ad or anything. I don't know anything about the guys who made this app or whatever. Someone in Germany told me about this. So it's a free eSIM. So you just download, as long as your phone supports free eSIM, basically you download the app and you set some shit up or whatever. It's not that hard or complicated. But you just need to watch a 30-second ad, and then you get an hour of internet. It's slow. It's fucking slow. Like, you can't really watch a YouTube video, but it's good enough to send out a text, load a web page pretty slowly, navigate on Google Maps. It's a game changer. It's awesome. Firsty, Firsty. It's some other weird shit came up when I first searched it, so look out for that. It's a yellow icon with like a globish looking black thing in it. Firsty. It seemed like kind of buggy a month ago, but I think they maybe fixed some of that, because it seems pretty good. So yeah, just every once in a while when I need internet, I just watch like this 30-second ad. It's usually like some dumb game, and then you get 4G, 5G, or whatever. They slow down the speed. It says 4G, 5G. But yeah, pretty cool that now I can send WhatsApp messages and look at Google Maps on the go, like pretty much everyone else in the world who actually pays for fucking SIM card. I guess it works in 120 countries. This sounds like an ad, but it's not. It's just cool. It seems pretty sweet. So won't be fucking with Google Fi anymore, probably, unless I'm really craving like lots of data. It's got to stream shit. Nah, it's good. All right, that's probably it. I don't think I got much else to say to y'all. That was a big episode, so yeah, fucking A. I hope you guys are doing awesome, and I will see you down the road.
To hell with plans I made, I need a new escape. With all my shit straight, I'll get my big